either. Just a tail sticking out. We should have really good light on it if the sun came out from a cloud right now. I don't see the rest of the colony. They're normally a social bird. They're normally in families. Ah, no, those are babblers. It just flew by and babbled. The babblers babble. They don't tweet. You can tweet. There it goes. You can tweet to hashtag Safari Live to be able to send in questions. Oh, hang on a sec. Sorry. Or you can send emails to questions@WildEarthTV. There's definitely a colony of mongoose that are foraging on their way home. They don't live here. Some of them have crossed the road already, and they're remaining well hidden because they're foraging and so they're not really going to be out in the open until maybe they get back to their termite mound or until they're crossing the road. Hello children, all over the place, the mongoose everywhere, scattering. Okay, we will have to try for the woodpeckers again another time. He was asking if I can compare the size of the dwarf mongoose to the ground squirrels that we see. We're seeing tree squirrels, B. We are a little bit far to the east and the south for ground squirrels. They're more dry country animals that live in Kalahari. I suppose it's semantics when you want a size comparison, because I suppose our tree squirrels are pretty much the same size as ground squirrels. What do you think, Andrew? You got to know ground squirrels pretty well.
I think ground squirrels are a little bit bigger.
Yeah?
Yeah, quite a bit bigger than ground squirrels.
Well, I'd say that here our tree squirrels and our dwarf mongoose are about the same size. Only that, of course, the squirrel's got a much bigger tail, so it gives that appearance of being a little bit bigger. But body size, I'd say that our tree squirrels are about the same size as the dwarf mongoose. Did you have dwarf mongoose with the meerkats? Andrew was with the meerkats, by the way, in Kalahari, filming them. No. I suppose it would be too much competition since the meerkats pretty much occupy that niche.
Yeah.
This is our eastern boundary where Mbula was this morning. We're heading north. This is going to be on our way to Buffelshoek Dam. tree squirrel. Jennifer, hello Jennifer. Jennifer's calling from Toronto, well, writing in. Hi Jennifer. What is the reasoning behind the disproportionately large testicles of the tree squirrels? Jennifer, it is something, it is a phenomenon amongst all rodents that when they are breeding, the testicles swell exponentially. The reasoning behind it, possibly, well, I have to think about it. Fertility and testosterone and breeding, maybe even it is something that is linked to sexual selection rather than natural, a different sort of genetic selection based on climate and other factors that dictate other forms of physiology within an animal. The reason why some things become so colourful because females prefer it that way, and so the ones that have more colour, or in this case bigger testicles, prove to be the better breeders, and so they're sought out by the females. And so, oh, you've got a big grasshopper or something, that hornbill flown quite far. Could be a praying mantis that he's caught. Trying to rub the legs off. Some of the legs, grasshoppers and mantids, can have spines on them. They're not that much in the way of any nutritional value. Oh, he dropped it. Can't see it too well, but it looks like it could be a praying mantis. And what it's doing is it's pulverizing the mantis by chopping it up all the way along the body with its beak. It's hard to see. I can't get very much closer without frightening it. And our angle isn't great because there are a few branches in the way. Maybe try and move back a few inches if you want to keep it zoomed. Until we get obscured by this bush on our left, or before the bush on our left. You can find it. No, it's getting too obscured. Trying to swallow it as well, but probably legs are hindering it. Difficult to tell from this distance. I think it's battling to get it down. He says as he swallows it. No, it's still there. This is a red-billed hornbill. There's a white-crowned shrike's calling, flying over us. Getting stuck. Battling. I know that feeling. Now, when you're really hungry and you take a bite of something and you eat or chew too quickly and it kind of gets stuck. It doesn't want to go down and doesn't want to come back up. And I nearly drove past it, but the whole reason I came here was to come to this very specific marula tree that was pushed over a couple of years ago, a few years ago actually, just to grab a leaf. Like this one looks like it's going to fall off soon. And there are not many marula trees that I can reach a good leaf because they're such tall trees. I was lucky enough to get the false marula. Now, offhand, it's fairly easy to see that they are quite different. Oh, this one's lost. It's not a very good example. Got to find one. Let's try that again. Let's find one that's got all of its leaflets. And that might be one there. I want one of those nice big ones. They're too high. I'm too lazy. Will do. Will do. Marula leaves can be as big as that, but this one's as big as this. They are paler and they can get a little bit darker, but the most important thing about them, even though the size looks very different, there are some marula tree these are leaflets, remember. There are some that are nearly as big as that, but the most important thing is this little stem over here, which is known as a petiolule, that doesn't exist in the false marula, but it does exist in the marula. Now when you see the tree from a distance, or when it's close up, it's very easy to see there's considerable difference between the two. They're compound leaves, they both have a terminal leaflet, but there is a slight difference in the color, difference in the sheen, but the main difference, of course, is the fact that the leaflets have this little stem called a petiolule and the false marula doesn't. So it's not that great of a mystery, and I'm sorry to have been, if it's a bit of an anticlimax, but finally managed to finish that little chapter for this afternoon's drive. Thanks for your patience on that. Not the only marula tree being pushed over, there are others, but I was getting a little sidetracked by other things that we saw. We still want to try and get to Whippleswood Dam, and if we can, maybe to the Hyena Dam. And time is marching on. Shall we go this way? Why not? Let's do that. Oops. A bit of erosion from the rain. I think he would probably be walking now, Mr. Mbula, Mr. Rain. Mbula means rain. He's the dominant male leopard of this area. And he's the father of Quarantine and Djuma. To remind you, if you haven't been with us for too long this afternoon, we are having a fireside chat this evening. We're going to be in camp for the fireside chat rather than out on quarantine. from Rochester, New York. We see a lot of birds eating insects, not very many birds eating worms. Do we get a lot of worms in the area? Well, I think I wouldn't say really fairy tale concept, but the concept of the bird and the worm is probably far too pervasive in that it's kind of like birds only eat worms. There certainly are earthworms here, but very seldom do they come out onto the surface, and there are very few species of birds that are equipped to be able to probe the ground and actually dig out earthworms. And while there might be a number of different species of earthworms, they are pretty much the only worms as such that we have. However, a lot of the larvae of insects are referred to as worms. I mean, there's the inchworm, but it's actually a caterpillar. And so, much like all insects are called bugs, sometimes all things that crawl like a worm are called worms. So technically, are we referring to the real thing that is a worm, like an earthworm or a nematode or something like that? Or are we referring to anything like the larva of a beetle or the larva of a butterfly or the larva of a moth, anything that crawls that looks like a worm? Perhaps one of the reasons why we don't see so many birds eating caterpillars or worms at the moment is because there aren't that many out right now. Caterpillars, if those are the kind of worms you're referring to, are mostly in their final instar stages right now, which means that they're almost reaching, if they haven't already reached the stage where they're going to go into the pupa and pupate to become the adult. And it's only really early in the season when there are a lot of caterpillars about, because when caterpillars hatch, when the eggs hatch into caterpillars, they need fresh new leaves to feed on, because they're sometimes so tiny, they're so small, they can't really feed on the hard mature leaves of a lot of their host plants, and they need to be growing with the plant as the plant grows in the wet season. So they hatch early, and they but as for worms, there are the hardidars and there are the hoopoes, the African hoopoes. There are two of the main species of birds that will probe the ground to find earthworms. Hornbills dig a little bit. There are starlings might dig a little bit. There are a few things that do dig, perhaps lucky enough to find earthworms, but we don't ever have the case of earthworms sticking their heads up and the bird pulling on an earthworm in the hole. Sort of classic sort of thing. Okay, let's just cut it down. Excuse me. Talking about, and Cora's a little bit too far east for us to be concerned about what's going on there, unless they start coming west, whatever it is. I just want to poke our head in here, our camera, to see if Kumvula is, just in case, no, you never know, just in case he's around somewhere. Some hippo. I think he's somewhere on Buffalo's or Cutline. I think he's left them already. We know the crocodile is gone because we've seen its tracks. It's going to be a beautiful sunset this evening. This cloud. Let's get a little bit of that before we go. Mark, go ahead. Station calling, Mark. Go ahead. There's a little baby chased the heron off of its mama's back. Tiny little hippo. We'll see its head pop up again perhaps. There it is. Ephraim, come in. Ephraim, come in. Wrong radio. Ephraim, come in. Answered my question before I could answer it. One of the dam walls up north of us on Buffelshoek, or could be east on Leadwood, Torchwood. Beautiful. Thank you, Hippo. Lovely display. Sounds like a little leopard known as Bahuti. I was wondering if maybe that was Mvula, but we've still got a chance of finding Mvula, so let's do so. Go around the dam and head up Buffelshoek cut line for a bit. Hello, welcome to Wild Earth. Welcome to our world. Hope you're having fun this wonderful Sunday, this sunny Sunday. April the 19th, 2015. Can you believe it? 2015. Unbelievable. Where did the last so many years go? Flower, come on, we got to do at least one flower for the ladies. Used to be known as a cassia, not acacia, but cassia. Used to be cassia and now it's senna. Most of the family are senna unless they have a round pod. The flat pods have all become sennas. Beautiful flowers of the cassias and the sennas. Just a little bit more vibrant after the rain. Not so droopy and pale. Just spruced up a little bit. Teresa in Wisconsin is asking whether any of the local landowners raise wildlife. For food source, the way maybe bison or ostrich or other. Not here, Teresa, no. This is not really that kind of game ranching. This is or area. A little bit further northwest of us. There are a lot of game ranchers that raise wildlife. They raise game for the game ranching market. They trade in genetics, really. But there are parts of the country where instead of cattle, instead of alien species that destroy the habitat and destroy the environment, indigenous species are raised, like springbuck or blessbuck or impala or other species that are raised as a food source. Not here though, not in this part of the world. That's a hugely debatable subject, the ethics, all the sorts of things that go along with it. Ultimately, it's the lesser of two evils, really, in that goats, sheep and cattle can destroy an environment in no time. Yet if you raise kudu or raising an indigenous species of animal for the same purpose has far less of an impact on the environment. It doesn't need the pesticides and all the other things. And we're not going to debate it now, but it is an interesting subject to discuss. Something that not really we can discuss over this medium. It's more something you can talk about around a fire when you're sort of in person, but can lead to heated discussions and strong opinions. Brent, come in. Yeah, sorry, you were looking for me? I did copy that I'm at Buffelshoek Dam at the moment. Mandy's saying she just thought she heard a woodlands kingfisher. Unfortunately, Mandy, I've been listening to the radio. It might seem like I'm in a different world, but I'm listening to the radio to what is going on, and I wasn't conscious. I've only got one ear that maybe picks up sound, so I didn't hear that. I'm hoping that maybe somebody's got recordings or something. Most of, if not all of the woodlands kingfishers have migrated by now. It's very unusual to still have a woodlands at this time of the year, but it's not impossible. It's a little bit late, but it is not impossible. We might lose you, by the way. I'm going through a dip. Just be prepared. The signal might drop. Unfortunately, I do see some sign of a nice big cumulus cloud building up in the south. I saw a little bit of an alarm call coming from the finish line. That's a crombeck that's alarming, a little bird known as a crombeck, long-billed crombeck. I think I'll investigate a little bit.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
Quite a deep gully, drainage line, creek bed, what you might, okay, so just whatever you might call it, it is quite deep here, and apologies for the signal break, but I'm just want to be sure that I'm not missing anything. Not seeing any signs of Mbula. Ground is very hard here, but there are a few patches where there's mud and softer sand, and I would hope that maybe I'd pick up a track or two. He might still be in the vicinity of Buffelshoek Dam. Head back that way on this fire break. Wondering if anyone else might have heard if that was a woodlands kingfisher that was calling. I really didn't register anything for a little while there. I was concentrating on what was going on the radio, being called on the radio and trying to respond. The sun has made its transition north of Buffalo's cut line. We must have missed it. It's going to be September before it comes back again. August or September. But Buffalo's cut line, as you can see, is pretty much an east-west, almost perfectly east-west road, and only round about the solstice that we get the sun straight up Buffalo's cut line when it's setting. A little while ago, just north of the cut line now, but a beautiful sight nonetheless. I think we need to use the gravity drive so we can listen carefully while we're rolling down the hill and change our perspective of the sunset. Making you work.
That's okay.
So once again we're coming through the same dip. Might lose you again. And for that little bit, just that little bit on Gari cut line as we come up from this dip. Don't go anywhere. Not your computers or TV screens or anything. It is merely an anomaly in our broadcast signal going through a deep dip like this. had word that the pride of lion, the 13 lion and the pride, are on Arethusa, and some of the chalets of Arethusa. We're unfortunately a little bit far from it there now. And soon, and they're gonna, I don't know, a good chance of them getting down towards the water when it gets dark. So do take note that Arethusa waterhole camera might have lion on it later sometime tonight, because they are close to Arethusa Dam. The words come in pretty late this afternoon. Beth wants to know, Beth from California, Beth wants to know, where do the animals go? If they leave Sabi Sands in the dry season, where do they go? Maybe a little bit of a bad signal area here. Talk to you in a minute, Beth. Say of the animals that might leave the Sabi Sand and go to different areas during the dry season are things like elephant, giraffe, zebra, maybe wildebeest. Probably those are mostly the only ones that are likely to go anywhere out of the Sabi Sand. The Sabi Sand is open to Manaleti in the north, and of course the whole eastern boundary is open to Kruger, so they would naturally go into the Kruger. But you've got to remember that to the animals it's all one area. Just us humans that call it different things, whether it's Manaleti or the Sabi Sand or Kruger Park or Timbavati or Baluli or Olifants or any of the names that are applied to these given areas. Ultimately it's all one big area, it's the Greater Kruger National Park. So technically they don't really go, as far as the animals are concerned, they don't really go anywhere. They just elsewhere. They just, I don't know how to explain it. Because for the animals, they don't differentiate between here and Kruger and Manaleti. Silk Robin is asking if we see many bats around this time of the evening, and if so, what type of bats are they? Fly, please, I'm going to call my bats on you. I wish I could have a bat right now looking around me. A bat or a dragonfly or a robber fly or something. Particularly pestered by one this afternoon that is teasing me to no end. Let it be, eater. Or two or three. Got a little bit of a silhouette, unfortunately. Oxpeckers to the left. No, it's an oxpecker sitting with its tail lined up with a twig from my angle that looked like it was the tail stream of River Bee. Just oxpeckers. We should start seeing some of the bats coming out now, and they're mostly insectivorous bats. I have heard the occasional fruit bat that probably comes up the Milwaukee River and hangs around looking for things around either jackalberry or maybe other fruiting trees around the lodge, and then heads back down to maybe the more permanent rivers. So the majority of the bats that we have flying around are insectivorous bats. They are either free-tailed bats, sheath-tailed bats, myotis bats, pipistrelles, maybe horseshoe bats, maybe if we like, I think even the odd bulldog bat. Almost impossible to tell the species watching it fly around in the sky, because bat identification can be so difficult that you actually need the bat in hand to be able to take very precise measurements, count the ridges in its palate. I don't know how many bats you've met, but I haven't met any bats that have allowed me to count the ridges in their palates. Although sometimes they can snarl at you in such a way that you can probably easily count the ridges in the palate. Different species obviously differ in size quite profoundly, and what is quite remarkable about bats is that as adults, every part of their body, pretty much like, well, maybe not so much like us, but every part of their body, pretty much like the antelope, the forearm or the hind leg, very specific bones are of very specific length, and merely by measuring the forearm of a bat can you identify it, or identify what species it is. But there again, it's one of those things, bats don't just let you measure their forearms that easily. Lovely woodpecker tapping on a tree. Howdy dog. Oh yes. Beautiful reflection of the heron, and the lovely glow from the sunset. I think it's time we head to the hyena den and see if the adults are going to let those children chew on those bones. I think they are, and I think it'll be very nice to see. On Golden Pond, the hippo in the golden water. Look at that, very pretty, very, very pretty. Quite stunning. Of course, you won't get that from the camera's angle unless it's early morning, but we have a lovely sunset setting. Onward ho! To the hyena den we go. Hello buffalo. Good night buffalo and hippo. Howdy dog. Sorry to trouble you, child. Late afternoon sun, just pre-sunset, shining on a big cloud up in the south too fast. We've come out of Barry Dam and head up Walberg's Nest Road. so much to see all at once. For starters, this beautiful glow of the sunset that we simply cannot go without seeing. Welcome to Africa, everyone. African sunset. As far as we are from Gary Dam, I can hear the hardy-dars have just been startled there, so I'm wondering if anybody can see anything from the camera that we might have missed. Why the hardy-dars are making a noise. Interesting. Franklin's calling. Hippo's just called as well. The hardy-dars were shouting. Wondering if there's not a cat at the dam. I'm gonna let any of the zoomies tell me that. So we're gonna try and do two things at once here. I want to go and see what's happening at the hyena den, but hopefully get some news on if anything appears at Gari Dam, because something might. We can't be at the hyena den too late because of the little ones. We can't use lights with those little ones, so we want to get there. By the way, I haven't seen any mushrooms yet, but there's a good chance that maybe tomorrow there might be some mushrooms coming out of old piles of elephant dung or buffalo dung, or some of the middens that exist. Greetings to you, Carla in the Netherlands. It's great to have you with us, Carla. Great that your first drive with us this afternoon. Getting a question from Carla, wants to know if crocodiles ever attack hippos in the dams, especially when the dams are getting smaller. I think it's more the other way around. To get very That should be the strong signal here. Don't know why we lost signal here. Earlier today. Everything is fine. So sorry that once again, sorry about the bit of a signal break there for some reason. Sorry about that. We do expect these things to happen from time to time. We are a TV studio in an open vehicle driving through the bush in rather damp conditions. And Carla was asking whether hippos are ever attacked by crocodiles when the water holes and the dams start getting smaller, drying up. I think it's more the other way around. The hippos are more particular about their space than the crocodiles, and it's more often than not as hippos that chase crocodiles. But to answer your question, no, I don't know of excuse me, I don't know of crocodiles attacking hippos other than crocodiles feeding on dead hippos. Welcome Carla, and welcome to Wild Earth. Welcome to our drive. So great to have you, and glad that you managed to join us today. Hope we're going to hear some more from you in months to come, time to come. Now we're approaching the den, and we'll do this rather slowly. Perhaps from the start here, see where we get to. Hyena there, might have brought that carcass out from under the tree. Looks like the carcass has been moved. I'm not seeing it under the tree, but the little ones are out. Hello children! I think it might be that, no, I don't know. Let's see. Yep. What I was hoping we were going to see. Hyena bringing the remains of a kill, or most of a kill, back to the den for practice for the youngsters. She's actually a little bit of interaction there. Okay, we'll stop right here. Hello little child. It's so nice to see them losing their black, starting to get the spots. Now, as far as we know, since we've been visiting the den quite a lot, and I think we might get to see that some of these bones are going to stick around here for a while. We're probably going to see these little ones playing on this for some time to come. This is an incredible learning curve for them. Really, children, you have to take it behind the tree at this position. Your mother left it there in the open so nicely. Yeah, bring it back. There you go, good little one. Get your sibling to help you. Come pull it back. That's right. Bring it back into it. So those cute little cubs that we've been watching are finally getting their teeth into something. Judging by this one that we're looking at, the one on the right, in the foreground on the right, now on the very far right, it's not the first time it's been tugging at things, because I can see it's already using its paw, and I think that's something that's not necessarily instinctive. It wants to drag it right into the den. The single older cub is actually trying to pull it away, so there is a bit of a tug-of-war. The tug-of-war helps many different things. First of all, it's helping to strengthen those neck muscles, strengthen the jaw muscles, but it is also possible that it will help tear pieces off. They probably not strong enough to bite through things, and at this stage of the game, probably all about you pull one end and I'll pull the other, and maybe pieces will come off. I would imagine that this youngster that is now clearly dominating the older cub is probably the cub of the alpha female, since it's able to dominate the older cub. Adult walking behind us. Oh, it's coming this way now. Coming to greet its child. She's a bloated. She just walks all over the child. Doesn't even stop. Just bowls it over. Because she's so bloated. She's mostly fed on this carcass, I would imagine. Hello, madam. I'm going to try and move, Andrew.
Yeah, good idea.
Or maybe not. She's now bringing it back out. She doesn't want it in the den. Clearly, she wants it out of the den. Clearly this is her offspring. Oh, I can't tell alphas here because she's keeping the other adult female away. And I'm guessing that this is the mom of the two smaller ones, because now that this female is on the carcass, the two smaller ones that were showing dominance are being a little bit more submissive now. We're also getting, look at the sky. I mean, this is just absolutely, it's surreal almost how bright it is. Bright pinks and oranges, and well, I wasn't here. Rather unique behavior, and it's, I think, more pertinent to be here than, and we're going to try for a sunset tomorrow. See, she's actually forcing the other ones away, keeping the carcass away from them so that her child can feed. Unusual. Well, not so much unusual, just unusual that we get to witness this. No way I can really move to get a better view of this little one that's feeding. Shall we quickly, because it's changing second by second, can we zoom out, get the sky again, please, Andrew? I can't believe how beautiful the sky is.
It actually doesn't look real.
No, but it's also, it's almost 180 degrees from the north to the south. Really beautiful color. And let's look into the brightest part of it that's actually obscured a little bit. Lynn is asking if she's pregnant or just very full. I don't think she can be pregnant, Lynn. I think she's just very, very full. I'm guessing that that's her youngster that she's allowing to feed, and she's keeping the other one's youngsters away for the time being. And from what I understand, it was a pretty complete carcass, or quite a lot of it, that came back here with her this morning. Judging by the drag marks, it was a fairly large carcass. Trying to please its auntie, but still being kept away from the carcass. A little bit of submissive behavior. Yeah, I don't think it knows that its mum's belly is so full it actually bumped into it. Hello, Chris. Chris in California wants to know if having the carcass here at the den would be able... Sorry, Chris. Yes, it could very well be that the carcass being here could attract others. I think is one of the reasons why this female is being as vigilant as she is. Apart from trying to keep the other little nosy ones out of the way. Although now one of the very young ones seems to be feeding. But yes, lion could chance upon it, or chance upon the scent of it and come in. But one of the reasons why she's so vigilant is she's gonna she can hear things and she can see things, and just one little warning from her will get those cubs deep into the den. That will keep them pretty safe. A leopard wouldn't chance coming in here. Only thing really would be maybe either hyena or lion. if I stay here too long, then it's going to be a little bit too long in trying to drive back and then set up, because well, we need this vehicle there to be able to broadcast Fireside Chat. Goodbye, children. Bye. Thank you for the lovely show. Wonderful interaction of the learning process, the raising of hyena pups. Maggie, Vancouver, life expectancy of a hyena, I think it's only about 8 to 10 years. I don't think it's very long. Maggie, Canada. Snake's gone to bed. The worm song that we saw, we need to look at that in the morning. Past on a warm day, although on a very warm day, it's probably out in the tree hunting chameleons, maybe birds, lizards, geckos. Beautiful African skies. I want to thank all of you. If you're not going to be joining us for Fireside Chat, I want to thank all of you for joining us for our drive this afternoon. It's been a wonderful Sunday for me and Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you to Tara in Final Control. My name is Mark. This has been our Sunday afternoon live drive. We're not really going anywhere. If you want to continue watching, we will be switching over to our Fireside Chat in a few minutes. We're getting closer to camp, and just after I say goodbye, I'm going to go off air for just a few minutes until we get this vehicle wired up to the camera and everything else that's set up already. It shouldn't take very long. But for the drive, thank you for the questions, thanks for all the input, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And so from all of us here, do join us again tomorrow for our drive, and we'll see you shortly for our Fireside Chat in a few minutes.